Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 429.
Hey, hello everybody. We are the Family Gamers. As always, I'm your host Andrew, and I'm joined by my lovely, wonderful wife Anitra.
That's me.
I'm just saying at the top, the first half of the show is going to be the long part of the show this week. We've been playing a lot of games.
I think our topic is going to be relatively short, but yeah, we went on a camping trip. We played a bunch of games. We went on a train and played one game a whole bunch of times.
Just a lot of games.
Yeah, a lot of games.
This is, one of those dream 2-week sequences where, like you said, we went on that camping trip and we just played a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And then around that, we played some stuff. And we played another campaign session of Tidal Blaze 2.
And return of Monday Night Game Night.
Yeah.
With other people at our house who aren't related to us playing games. That was great.
It was a lot of fun. We had a really, really good time. But anyway, we are going to talk about those games after I talk about a fact.
Yes, give us a fact.
Okay. When I say the world's largest book, what do you think? Like, how do you measure the world's largest book?
Well, I'm going to get super nerdy here for a second and think about codices.
Okay.
Codexes.
Sure.
Which are like the very early books, and they're huge mostly because paper was super hard to make. So the paper was kind of thick, but also these giant sheets that got folded like 5 times and made the pages of the book. That's what I think of when you say world's largest book. Like, I know they're not actually the largest, but they tend to be very large.
Okay. I don't entirely follow the single answer of what you mean when you say the world's largest book. But what I would say is most people, when you say the world's largest book, they think about page count. That's what I think most people think about.
Sure. Yes.
And for that, the thickest single volume book is the book World 2023, published by ESN Publications and the London Organization of Skills Development Limited, which obviously does not have 429 pages. That's not long enough.
No, definitely not.
In fact, it has 100,100 pages.
100,100 pages.
Yes.
That feels like a book that it would be hard to turn the pages in.
I don't know. But if you're just looking for the world's largest book, that book is a book called This is the Prophet Muhammad, which has 429 pages.
Those must be very large pages.
Unveiled in Dubai in 2012 by Mashahad International Group, it measures 5 meters by 8 meters.
What?
It weighs approximately 1,500 kilograms.
What?
Or about 3,300 pounds.
You're telling me this book weighs 1.5 tons?
Yes.
Okay.
Only 429 pages, 3,300 pounds.
Wow.
The book is a compilation of stories detailing the life of the Prophet Muhammad.
Wait a minute, that means each page is like 800 pounds. No, 80 pounds. 80 pounds.
I mean, I don't know how much the covers weigh. Like, they would throw it off. Like,
sure.
if they're, made of gold or something.
That's crazy.
I know. But I thought it was a cool fact.
Yeah.
Side fact, of all of the metallic elements, silver has the highest thermal conductivity at 429 watts per meter Kelvin.
Ooh.
It was kind of cool.
Watts per meter Kelvin.
Yeah. Isn't that a great measurement? There are certain orientations of carbon, like graphene, that have a higher thermal conductivity, but in terms of just a regular old metal, just the way it is silver at 429 watts per meter Kelvin.
Interesting.
And those are my 2 facts about 429.
Well, I have a message from our sponsor, First Move Financial. As a reminder, we've been working through an example young couple where First Move would work with this young couple earning a combined $100,000 with a net worth of around $25,000 and the goals of buying a home and starting a family in the next few years. One of the most surprising areas that a young client like our example can get out of working with a professional advisor is in using that person as a financial coach. A lot of the conversations First Move would have with this client would focus on education and making sure they understood what options and decisions they had available and why those were important, like the difference between a traditional or a Roth retirement account. part of this is also having someone to be accountable to for those very short-term goals, like how much is being saved each month, or actually setting up a budget, or maybe actually setting up a will. And simply having some accountability is often enough to create positive change. It's kind of like having a personal trainer, but for your money muscles. If this perspective sounds helpful and you'd like something less generic than this ad message, you too can book a free 15-minute call with First Move Financial at firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and learn how they can help you invest wisely, even if you don't have a huge net worth.
Thanks so much to the team at First Move for sponsoring another episode of the Family Gamers podcast. All right, Anitra, we got a list here.
All right, we are going to burn through this list and try to just focus on ones that are either new or notable, I think.
I mean, sure. I think we've prepped everybody that we're going to spend some time talking about some games.
Yeah.
And I think that's A-okay. First one up on the list is a game that we have talked about on the show before, but we haven't played in a while, and that is the game Laniakea.
Yeah, so this is a game that you got over at Essen. It is a German board game from a German company.
Yes.
It is not available in the United
Which
States.
is really too bad.
It's really nice wood pieces and just solid construction and an interesting abstract game.
Yeah, I mean...
Abstract-ish.
It's got a loose theme of turtles.
You're jumping across turtles.
You're avoiding the turtles.
Somewhere.
You're avoiding the turtles to go from one beach to the other.
Yes.
Why did the little dot cross the road? To win at Laniakea.
To get to the other beach. Yeah.
It's just a really nice, well-made, abstract-ish game, like you said. And it's a lot of fun. It's pretty. I would recommend you take a look on Board Game Geek to kind of see what it looks like. I don't know. It's nice.
Yeah. Another game that has very nice components but is new to the show that we played in the last couple weeks is Sails Up.
Yeah, so Sails Up is really interesting. It's published by a very small publisher out of New Hampshire. Friend of a friend kind of recommendation. And they came to us. They shipped one over to us. It is available to purchase. It's not like this was a Kickstarter or something like that. But it is a very small, cute two-player game that is essentially a sailboat race.
Yeah, and it is at its heart a roll and move game, but it's a roll and move game with a fair bit of tactical thinking involved.
Yeah, ish. So this is the easiest way for me to describe it is this is the game of threes. Something happens every 3 spaces on the board. It might be a wind, or it might be that I think the way the board is set up, it's 3 columns wide. The outside columns are dedicated to each player, and then the middle column is sort of the return trip. So
and it's shared.
And it's shared. So if I'm player 1, I go down the outside column, which is 9 spaces long, and then I turn around and then I come in the middle column, which is also 9 spaces long, and then I've completed the race with that boat. Right? Every 3 spaces there is something. There's wind or there's harbors, and the goal is to get all of your ships. You have like maybe 5 boats.
7.
Is it 7 boats? I don't even know how many boats it is. To across the finish line before your opponent. There are very few opportunities to make decisions, but they're always important decisions to make.
Yeah, well, so you can bump your neighbor's sailboat if you can land on the same space as them. Or you can, it's called tying up your neighbor's sailboat if you can land on the space next to it.
Yep.
Most commonly, this is your neighbor's in that middle return lane and you're on the outside and you come and land next to them. And now they can't move until you move the boat that they're tied up to. Or if they roll the highest or lowest possible on the dice, which I think is 2 or 6,
it's
maybe?
0 and 6.
0 and 6?
Yes.
And so those elements, in some ways it feels a lot like Parcheesi to me,
but
honestly.
Way simpler. I mean...
Simpler in a lot of ways, but also you get even a little bit more of the interesting decision space because it's such a smaller board and you've got 7 boats that you're trying to get out and back.
And it has an actual theme.
Whereas Parcheesi is a much larger board and you've got 4 pieces. So like you can go a bunch of turns and not touch anything.
Sure.
Sails Up, once you're 1 or 2 turns in, you're always thinking like, does it make sense to bring a new boat out or should I move this boat? Does that put me at risk? Can I tie up my neighbor's boat? Etc.
Yeah, there's almost a little bit like backgammon has that same kind of a feel where it's like, how am I going to move my chips and where do I want to put things? And is it going to maximize or minimize risk? And I've got to get things together and all that sort of stuff. So the decision space is really interesting in that way.
Yeah.
But this is a super fast moving 2-player game. There's like one or two rules that, well, there's really only one rule that I would like to change, and we're going to play around with house ruling that one. I actually already emailed the publisher and was like, hey, so this was kind of my thought on this. So we're going to play around with that a little bit, but otherwise, like, this game is fun. Like, it's really just a nice, quick 2-player game that you could play almost anywhere. It's nice.
Yeah. To be brutally honest about it, we were not expecting it to be as fun as it was.
I mean, I went in with, an open mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really know what I was going to think, but sometimes, first game from not an established publisher, sometimes it's like, oh, me and my husband made this game, or my family made this game, and you're like, well, let's see how this
we'll give it
up,
a shot.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Yeah.
That is sales up.
There is another pretty much brand new to everybody game that we played on this camping trip, and that is the game Hummingbirds.
So Hummingbirds came out earlier this year? I want to say, like, very early in the year. This is a really interesting game. I'll say it like this. This is my favorite Sandtimer game that I've ever played.
That feels fair. Yeah.
Like, Kites was one of them. I don't even know. Skyrockets, yeah, all that stuff. All those games, like, okay, they're fine. I didn't love the frenetic nature of trying to keep everything in the in-between place, right?
Yeah.
That as a mechanic, like, I get it and I can appreciate it, but it just felt like a big headache to me.
It felt way more stressful. Hummingbirds did not feel stressful in the same way, because instead of trying to keep all the timers going and kind of juggle them, you're trying to guess when they're going to run out because you can't see them.
Yeah, and the thing I really like about this game, so, I mean, let's describe this game for a minute. So, you have 3 hummingbird tokens? Only 2 hummingbird tokens?
2. You have 2.
And the board, it's really interesting. The board is a bunch of basically cardboard sleeves.
Tubes, yeah.
They're tubes that you drop all of these Sandtimers in. All the Sandtimers have different colors, and the different colors correlate to different amounts of time. So I think it's purple one is the fastest one, it's the 30-second timer, and then they go all the way up, and is it white? I think the white one is like the 10-minute timer,
red or white or
the red
something.
one is the 10-minute timer.
I don't remember.
So they're all different times. And so what you do is you put your little magnetic hummingbird dude on one of these tubes, right? And so the magnet's going to grab the timer. And it actually does a really good job. Like, we didn't have a lot of weird drops. And it goes around the table and everybody puts their guys on, or they use one of their hummingbirds to pull that timer up. If the timer is empty, congratulations, you have gotten the point and you get a token that corresponds to the color of the Sandtimer. You flip the Sandtimer over, you put it back in the tube.
Basically, your hummingbird successfully got nectar from that flower. You get a little token to represent that. Flip the timer over and put it back.
Yes. I love this game because the thing that you are working with is that band of time after the timer has run out. And the more of that you spend, it's all opportunity cost. That's what it is. You're spending your opportunity cost for a level of confidence that timer has in fact run out.
Sure.
And so your calibration on that gives you more opportunity to then do something else. And I just think that's a really interesting dynamic in a game.
Yeah. Well, and it's a very different use of Sandtimers, because it's not about trying to stay within a certain time. It's trying to guess and say, I want to go at least this long. Mm-hmm. But you can also still affect that on other people, because when it's your turn, it's your turn. You have to do something. And if you're lollygagging around, your opposing players are going to call you on that.
Well, but it also kind of helps everybody in a way, right? So I think it's really interesting because it's not desperation to keep it going. It's just kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a more natural flow.
Time passing is not a bad thing in this game.
Right.
As opposed to other games where it's a very bad thing. And I actually appreciate that because it's way less stressful.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is this is a game where it is a timed game and time passing is part of the goal.
Yeah. It's really
less the restriction and more the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Hummingbirds. This one, I've seen it on sale in a bunch of places. That's actually how we picked it up. We picked it up on sale at Barnes & Noble for, I think, $10 or something like that. Mm-hmm. For $10 is a great buy. If you can get it on sale somewhere, it's definitely something to check out because it's very different from a lot of other things, right? It's not another worker placement game, another Euro, another whatever. It's something that's very, very different.
And this is a game that's definitely accessible for the younger end of your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
In part because it's short.
Yep. All right, next on the list is a game that we have talked about on the show, but it's a beautiful game that our son apparently doesn't like, which I don't understand.
He doesn't like dexterity games.
Whatever. And that is the game Catch the Moon. So the version of this that we have was published by a different company than the whatever company is publishing it now. I don't even know who's publishing it now. But Catch the Moon is a really interesting, almost like reverse Suspend. I don't even know what you would call it.
It's pretty much the same idea as Suspend, really. I think our version might be like Bombix or something like that, but now
Yes.
but now in the US it's published by Cosmos.
Sure.
Catch the Moon is a hanging stuff dexterity game, but unlike other hanging stuff dexterity games, most of the time when you're placing stuff, you're going to have some part of the structure be taller than it was before.
Sure. It's just a dexterity game. But I love this game because the whole premise is that you're on a cloud and you're building ladders to the moon.
Yes.
And the ladders are literally just these beautiful
little wooden
ladders. And they're kind of weird and a little bent and kind of reminiscent of almost like a cartoon or
yes.
I always think The Little Prince when I'm playing this game, or Luma. Do you remember that little short, the Pixar short? Something like that. Like that's really what this game reminds me of, and I just like it.
It has the same quirkiness as like Tim Burton, but without any of the dark overtones.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I will also say it was a great choice for bringing camping because the pieces are all really sturdy, hard to lose. The wind did blow through our ladder structure a couple of times and things kind of rocked a little bit, but nothing fell over.
It was fine.
It was not enough to affect the game, and
less impact than it would impact a card game.
Exactly. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
And it all kind of packs into the box lid even as you're playing, which is also helpful.
Yeah.
So that was great. I will definitely bring that camping again. I think that is a really good choice for a camping game.
Sure.
We also played some more of the new party game Vanity Plates from 25th Century. The more we play this game, the more it kind of hits that there are certain aspects of this that are really, really hard. And they are not the ones that I expect. Every time, they are not the aspects that I expect it to be hard. But trying to constrain yourself to 8 characters, no vowels, no symbols, just consonants and numbers and the letter Y. And then also trying to clue off a type of person or profession or whatever. And additionally be limited and say, oh, by the way, you have to use these 3 characters as part of your up to 8. It's a really interesting mental exercise, but it's also really hard. We played with a couple of kids in the group, and they were not dumb kids, and they were not super young kids, but they still very much struggled with the restrictions involved. But
I didn't think they struggled that much.
But we showed them a little bit of grace, and they had fun with it too. But it's one of those where you definitely got to modify the rules a little bit for kids under like 12.
I don't know how much I agree with you on that one, but that's fine.
All right.
I mean, I think one of the hardest things about this is actually when you have a number or something that you have to use that just isn't going to fit. And so you've got to throw it away, but you have to like stick it in at the end or something.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, no, that must be part of the important thing.
That 5 must be an S.
Right. Or something. Yeah. So
yeah.
Stuff like that is pretty entertaining. This game is definitely easier with more people.
For the most part, yes.
Because the ratio of real identities to fake identities is closer to 1-to-1.
Yeah, is better at higher player count.
Yeah, so that part was helpful. This is another one of those games that's a word game where you can really appreciate people's cleverness.
Yes.
Which I like a lot about Vanity Plates.
I agree.
Next is a Ticket to Ride that we had never played before.
Never seen before.
This is like map expansion 6.5, I think.
Or something like that, yeah.
We have a friend who is just an absolute Ticket to Ride sicko.
Super fan.
And has basically everything. Like, he has a separate tackle box, or whatever you'd call it, for the trains.
The trains and the train cards.
And he brings the map separately.
Yeah.
So you combine, it's just great.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ticket to Ride Poland is, first of all, impossible to pronounce any of the city names.
Oh my goodness.
Second of all, the big thing with Ticket to Ride Poland is there's a bunch of routes that go to other countries. So you're in Poland, and then you go to Russia, or you go to Germany, or whatever. If at any time you make a connection to a country that, through your circuitous train system, connects it freshly to another country, you take the top route cards for each of those 2 countries.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. There's no longest route. There's no most tickets.
Yep.
It's just the points for the little train sections that you made, the points for the routes you completed, minus the points for the routes that you missed, plus the points for the countries that you've connected together.
Right. And there's definitely a benefit to connecting countries early because you get cards that are worth a little bit more.
Yeah, the ones at the
points,
top are worth more, and it's
but not
as
as much as the benefit of just connecting as many countries as you can, because every time you add another country to your network, you're going to take a whole bunch of cards because like, oh, well, now I've connected this 4th additional country. I take that one and another copy of the other 3.
Yeah, and that was the one
connected.
rule that I didn't understand when we played, and that miffed me a little bit, but I digress. It's just a game.
It is what it is. Our teenage son kept pulling out Fleet the Dice game.
Yep. An oldie but a goodie, baby.
It's such a good game.
I lost every time, but it's still good.
I lost really badly the time that I played. I lost worse than you by a lot. But I had fun. I don't play it often enough for everything to click into place immediately. And so Fleet the Dice game, although I enjoy it, I feel like I don't really remember what I'm doing until almost halfway through the game. Pretty much every time now, sadly.
The next game on the list is a game that I brought with us camping as kind of the nostalgia play for you and me.
Yeah.
And because I knew that this game would appeal to lots of different people. And this is the game Echidna Shuffle.
So I think technically we've talked about this on the podcast before, but I also think it was probably 6 years ago.
At least.
We got Echidna Shuffle in 2019 after I saw it at Origins that year. It is so cute. So cute.
So the premise of Echidna Shuffle is that there are stumps on the board, and there are little like bug generation spots, 1 bug generation spot per player. And there's all these routes that are on the board, and there's a dozen echidnas. And the echidnas are all following the routes, but the problem is the echidna can't just follow the route because there's another echidna in front of them.
It is Echidna Rush Hour.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Well, except they're all the same shape. Right. So you have to move an echidna onto your bug generation spot, and then you put one of your 3 bugs on the echidna's back. And then you've got to move that echidna somehow to one of your stumps.
Your goal is to get your 3 bugs from the bug generation spot to the 3 different stumps in your color, and to be the first player to do that.
Yep.
But the way it works is that once you have a bug onto an echidna's back, you're not really the only person in control of that echidna. You're not really controlling any of the echidnas more than anybody else is.
Yeah, you're never controlling it. It's not like you lose control of the echidnas. You're never controlling the echidnas.
The echidnas are common property, and on a player's turn, they can move whatever echidnas can be moved that they choose. There's some dice rolling and stuff, but it's really well balanced in that every 2 turns, each player will have been able to move 9 echidnas. So whatever you roll on the dice, you basically take the number that would be the opposite side of the die on your next turn. So everybody really does get the same number of moves over the course of the game.
Mostly, yeah.
Part of your choice is, do you want to work more on helping your own bugs, or do you want to work more on redirecting other people's bugs away from their goals? And you really have to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's a great game. The echidnas are very adorable. They're these big plastic echidnas. I don't know if I would call it toy factor, but it's definitely got a nice table presence and, all that stuff.
The echidnas look like toys. The other pieces look like game pieces, but the echidnas look like toys.
Sure. Okay, fine.
We also played some more Got 5.
Yeah, Got 5 is a very good game for camping or whatever, because once you've got your little guys shoved in their little cardboard slots, they're not moving.
They're not moving anywhere, yeah.
So,
and most of the pieces are fairly heavy.
Yeah. We played Got 5 probably like 4 or 5 times, I feel like, over the course of the weekend.
I think I only played twice, but you probably played more.
I think I played it more than you did. Yeah, Got 5 remains an excellent game.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. I think that one's going to stay in heavy rotation for our family for a while. Speaking of heavy rotation, well after the camping trip, you and I had a chance to go into Boston and have a special date, and we took the train. And so I brought a game that was going to be easy to play on the train.
Except for the part where we were both falling asleep. But other than that, we did a great job playing like 7 rounds of Obelisk.
We played so much Obelisk.
Yes.
And that's another game that I think comes in and out of rotation for us, but it's so pretty and it's so small and it's so easy to set up. I really love it.
Yep. It's a great game. So that's probably why I like it.
Probably.
Yep. Next game, not a portable game, not the kind of game that we would be playing on a train table.
Very pretty, though. Very
pretty game, and this is Tidal Blades 2. So, of course, we had an entire episode where we did our 1, 2, 3 plays of Tidal Blades 2. We wanted to continue playing this game in order to get all the pictures for the review.
We wanted to continue playing this game, and I also needed to get some more pictures for our written review.
Right. And so now we have released that review. That review is live at thefamilygamers.com. If you are curious what this gorgeous game looks like, you can go to thefamilygamers.com and see it, see our write-up about it, all the different things that we talk about. I should also mention that if it is of interest to you, they're like about to launch their Kickstarter for the expansion, which is called Wardian Sky, which has another 10 scenarios and a new character and a bunch of other stuff. As if that game needs more stuff. But if you want more, it is there. It's going to be available. You can have more. I don't know for sure, but I would not be surprised if you could pick up a copy of Tidal Blades 2 as part of the Kickstarter campaign for Wardian Sky.
Seems reasonable.
Certainly, if you take a look at the review and if this is something that you're interested in, keep an eye out on Kickstarter for that. This game is super duper fun. I don't really know what else to say. I think it's really, really interesting the way they mix mechanics and create new things or change things. The session that we had this time around had what amounted to like a sliding puzzle.
Yes.
There, where you had to move things around to connect wires to open doors.
While we were also fighting things.
Like, it was just really well put together, really well done in that way. I think we said that there's 18.
I think there's 18
or 21 missions in the box.
Yeah.
We are now through
Chapter
4 or 5
4.
of them.
Yeah.
Plus the interlude and a couple other things like that. So I really feel like we're getting a very solid treatment of the game, and I feel like we represented that in the review pretty well. It's just really fun, and it's really pretty.
Yeah. This is a great choice if you are in the market for that kind of event gaming. I think the box says like 90 to 120 minutes. I don't think we've had a session yet of Tidal Blades that was less than 3 hours. Tidal Blades 2, excuse me. That was less than 3 hours. Even this time around where we were more focused than we have been in the past, it just takes a long time.
But it doesn't drag. Like,
I'm not
mad
about it. I want to be very
clear about that. Like, yes, it does take a long time, but like, it's a fun time.
I'm not mad about it, but it's definitely like for our family, it's do we have an entire Saturday afternoon we can devote to this? Yes, good. Then we can play. I envision in the future this is going to be a once a month, once every 6 weeks kind of a thing. And once all of the school type activities that happen on the weekends start up again, it's probably going to get demoted to like once every 3 months.
Well, we'll see, right? So we talk about this in the review. If you have the capacity to leave a game set up and you can just leave it there.
Yeah, that would make it easier.
It would make it way easier.
Sure.
Right? If you have a board game table where you can leave it set up in the table
and like
put
cover
the cover on and whatever, that would make it way easier, right? There's certainly ways that you could imagine this. If you have a dedicated game room, like whatever. We don't have those things. So that is something that, we can't enjoy, and that's okay. But, for us, let me put it like this. In the sessions that we have played, we have enjoyed this game enough that even though we recognize it's going to be a rare occurrence that we're going to be able to get it out, it is still worth it for us to keep around because we enjoy it that much.
Yes. You're putting good hedges around there. Like, this is definitely not for everybody and not for every situation. We're really enjoying it to the point that it's worth it for this extra effort.
Yes.
For our family.
Yes.
Okay, back to the other end of the spectrum. Small box, cheap, super fast, super easy to set up. Kabanga.
I mean, it's Kabanga. Who doesn't like Kabanga? Yeah. Snails Up, right? Snailed
something.
Snailed it?
Nailed it, I think.
Snailed it?
I don't know.
Snailed It is the kind of new version of this game.
Version.
The Hasbro version of this game. Yep. So same core game, but obviously, not Kabanga. So
Snaily.
It's pretty snaily. It's slimy. But anyway, Kabanga remains a good game. We introduced new people to it. They had a good time.
All the time.
It was fun.
Yep.
Next game on the list is something loud and raucous and super, super fun, and that is the game Space Team.
I sat this one out Not because I wouldn't enjoy it, but because it maxes out at 6 players.
Yeah, and we had 7 people playing games, which was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was kind of awesome.
I did very much enjoy listening to all the frantic yelling from a distance. I could not stay in the same room.
We played 3 times. I think we won twice. It's more Space Team. I don't know. It's a good game. It's really a lot of fun.
It was also fun with the Gen Z folks because you were like, Space Team, and they're like, the phone game? And you're like, yes, except
not a phone game.
Not a phone game. The party games did not end there.
They did not.
We also played some more Bullseye.
Another word game, also from 25th Century Games.
Yes. And definitely went better in a group where we have not all known each other all our lives.
Yeah, honestly, like, okay, we were at the point with Bullseye where we were pretty much ready to write up the review for this game. I'm so glad we played it again because it was a totally different feeling playing with.
I wouldn't say it was totally
group.
different.
I absolutely, it was so different.
It was much easier for me to find the fun in the game, not playing it with our children.
Sure. Well, everybody wasn't so butthurt about everything.
That was part of There were still a few moments of that, of just like, I don't know what you guys expected me to guess.
But
blah,
the
blah,
mood
blah, blah,
was different.
But the mood was different.
Yeah. I think that's an important part of this game that makes this game fun is collectively laughing over the discordant perspectives as opposed to getting angry at each other for it.
Just like how sometimes a slapping game can be all kinds of good fun and you get fake mean about it.
Yep.
But in our family, it always devolved into genuinely like hurt feelings, hurt hands. Why are we even playing this over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
Bullseye kind of feels like that, except for a word party game. Really good in certain circumstances, really not great in others. And that's okay. You just need to know if you and your group fit the right profile for it or not.
We had a blast playing this game. We will be writing up the reviews. I should have mentioned this when we talked about Vanity Plates before because we're also working on that review.
Yes.
But we are giving away copies of Vanity Plates and Bullseye, new and shrink, brand new games, as kind of special giveaways when we release those reviews. So that's something for you all to think about. We've got some 25th Century stuff that we're going to be able to give away. Those are just one part of it. We also have a copy of Red Letter, Yellow Letter, and a copy of Agueda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, love giving stuff away. It's a lot of fun.
All right, we got to get one more party game from 25th Century in here.
Man, sponsored by, right?
So, with this same group, we wrapped up the night with Green Team wins.
I dominated.
You did dominate.
I dominated this game.
We all really enjoyed the back and forth of like, oh, now you're on the orange team.
Oh, yeah.
And just like rubbing it in each other's faces. And that's the kind of attitude that also made Bullseye work well. Even though Bullseye is a cooperative game and Green Team Wins is definitely not a cooperative game, but it has cooperative elements.
Yeah. The number of times that like everybody answered something different except for me and one other person.
Yeah.
Like, I think it happened literally 4 times in that one game, which is amazing.
I think it's still my favorite party game.
Yeah.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got one more. I played one solo game this week.
Work.
I did work. I started a new job.
Yeah.
Which leaves me much less time for playing games, but that's okay. But on my lunch break, I pulled out Palette, which we're working on a review for, and I taught myself the solo mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Palette falls in that gap where it's not a bad game, like perfectly fine, enjoyable, not amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot to this game that is like, oh, okay, all right, I see the thing. I see the thing that the game is doing. I will enjoy playing the thing that the game is doing. It doesn't leave me wanting to go back to it, right? There's no hook. I think that's the problem. There's no hook.
Yeah. Well, and like playing solo, I blew way past the like recommended score. I won it pretty easily.
Okay.
And I knew I could have still probably done a little better. Honestly, like it felt like too long as a solo game.
Okay.
For the amount of choices you get. It was just like, oh, and now I'm doing this again. Okay, and now I'm doing this again.
Okay.
Not a bad game, but there's just something missing there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think trying that one more time solo, maybe there's a rule you might have missed or something like that really made it, something that you struggled with. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, well, that is our list. I warned everybody it was a long list. It was a long list.
It was a long list.
And we're not done, ladies and gentlemen. We should pivot and welcome our new community members.
That's another list.
It is another list because our community gave us some amazing back talk this week, and I want to talk all about it. So we're going to start by saying hello to some new people.
All right, we should do that. Welcome to Nicole.
Welcome to Megan.
Welcome to Ace.
Welcome to Sarah.
Welcome to Oron.
Welcome to Deo.
Welcome to Rico.
Welcome to Jennifer.
Welcome to Jasmine.
And welcome to Common Graces, which is obviously not a name, but Common Graces has been popping in every single day and posting a picture of a game and saying, what game is this and stuff like that. And I just think it's a really cool thought experiment, thought exercise kind of thing, and I really appreciate it. So, hello.
Been really fun.
Yes. And it's my favorite Sesame Street character. So,
We're not going to tell you who it is. You have to go
You gotta
look at the
figure it out
Facebook post
yourself.
to find out Andrew's favorite Sesame Street character.
Sadly, Andrew does not start with C.
All right, but you also mentioned Backtalk.
I did mention Backtalk.
We got some spicy Backtalk this week.
Well, I had some hot takes that nobody liked. That's a big part of it.
We had some hot takes that nobody liked.
Okay, I'll take that.
I will.
You deflecting some of the blame on me.
I will take some of the blame on this one.
But before we get into that, I actually want to mention something that Kendra McDonald posted in the Family Gamers community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she posted this. She said, "I'm an always listener, sometimes lurker, but I have to share. This summer, I made Play a Game with Mom part of my kids' daily checklist before using screens. The first few weeks, I selected a pile of light games we'd never played, but I knew were easy teaches to let them choose from. Agency within parameters," which,
yes,
way to go, Kendra. They didn't love it at first, but hey, moms deserve a summer too.
I agree.
As you can see, she posted her shot from BG Stats. As you can see, there was a huge spike in games played beginning in June. The cool thing is, I did not initiate all those plays. My people just needed a gentle nudge. My 14-year-old son's favorites turned out to be Jungo and Push, while my 11-year-old daughter has fallen in love with Boop, Floristry, and Backgammon, but she'll play pretty much anything. Anyway, great job. Totally awesome. I love it. 110 million%. Good job, Kendra.
I was a little too busy to do something like that this summer, but it's a great idea, really. Like we talk about, make choosing a game easy, make it obvious. I know other people who have a small stack of games in the place where their family normally is to say, yes, pick from one of these, and you can rotate those out.
Right. We have a big stack of games where our family normally is.
Well, yes, but that's because we are board game reviewers and our kids know that.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to the back talk. Here it is. We spent a lot of time on the podcast last week, talking about Junior and My First games. Did you try any of these with your kids? What is your take? Were they too easy or boring and immediately passed on? Or did they have a surprisingly long shelf life? That was the official question. Are the My Very First games worth it?
So on the Discord, Peter Schott makes points that are dear to my heart. Haba makes some great blocky games that are good for young kids, like My First Orchard, Animal Blind Animal. They're good to get started with the big pieces, the colors, simple rules. And he says Monopoly Junior is designed to end.
Which is a big plus over Monopoly.
You take turns, roll dice, you do the money, but it plays fairly quickly. And that part I would agree with. We didn't play it a lot, but Monopoly Junior, if played according to the rules, shouldn't take more than half an hour, maybe? It still can feel interminable, but it's not that bad, really. He also says Ticket to Ride First Journey is good, simpler rules, quicker time. That said, if your kid is at the point that they can handle the adult games, let them play those.
Yes, please. Mallory Martin on Facebook says, I have to disagree with the podcast take on Catan Jr. and Monopoly Jr.
Ooh.
So, partial agreement with Peter, right?
Yeah, partial agreement.
I actually enjoy both of those games, and I like them for kids. I like that they are shorter and I have less setup. It's a great option when my kids don't want to commit to the whole thing, so we keep both the junior version and the full version in our game library. Okay, so like for us, we got rid of Ticket to Ride, but we kept Ticket to Ride New York because we found that we were never really willing to commit to the whole game unless we were hanging out with those friends that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
The other main benefit is that both games are friendlier than the original versions. The stealing and robber in Catan and the bidding in Monopoly, plus how difficult it is to dig out of a hole, make those games touchy in my family.
That's fair.
We modded Catan Jr. so that when you move the robber, quote, ghost captain, you take one resource from the bank that matches the resource on the robber's hex. It makes moving the robber less combative because you know your opponent is going for a certain resource rather than just attempting to block you. Another benefit of Catan Jr. is that there's no distance requirement. My kids get upset when someone blocks their planned build by building right next to it in regular Catan.
I can see that too.
Sure, I still hated the game. Personal preference. I'm glad, Mallory, that it works for you guys. I actually looked this up because, I don't know, I pulled up Catan Jr. on Board Game Geek, and it was not at all what I remembered. And it turns out that there's been a bunch of art revisions on this game, and there's an actual, like, My First Catan, which is different from Catan Jr.
Oh my goodness, so many versions.
Which is interesting. But yeah, my recollection of this kind of boring, staid, yes, still pirate-themed Catan game definitely is different from what is currently available.
That's fair. Back on the Discord, Stefan has opinions. He says he played The Kids of Carcassonne, which is now called My First Carcassonne. They're still the same game. He played it a bunch with his daughters. It is a very simplified version, but I will still play it with adults who are non-gamers and have fun. Then he says, we got Catan Jr., but it flunked for us. Both girls would rather just play regular Catan. We also played Heckmech Jr. I think that's also called Picomino, maybe? But only for a short period. They liked the worms better than hamburgers. But then Stefan says that he recently became a granddad and he's getting ready to start all over again with My First Whatever games.
Love it.
That's great.
That is great. Nick Martinelli comments, he says, we played a lot of My First Carcassonne and The Kids of Catan. I always enjoyed them. My kids also loved a bunch of the Haba games like Rhino Hero, Dragon Rapid Fire, don't know that one, Dragon Tower, and Feuerdrachen, which I also don't know. I thought he was going to say Dragon's Breath, which is a great Haba game, but not on My First game.
I think his kids were too old for that by the time it came out. Speaking of which, back on the Discord, Joyful Jedi says, too late? My kids are too old. I would say those versions of the games are cozy games. Andor Jr., Ghost Blitz Jr., Magic Maze, kids. They're also good for adults that don't want the heaviness. And I think that's true for some junior games. It's just stripping out some of the complexity and making a game a little cozier. That's not exactly the kind of game we were talking about, but they do kind of add on to that trajectory.
The art is a little rounder.
Sure, yes.
Chi-Chat Long responded to Nick and said, we played Catan Jr., My First Carcassonne, and Dragomino. My boy also played Tok Woodman. TikTok Woodman?
I think it's Tok. That one's been released under a bunch of names, too.
Yep. And Dragon's Breath, yes, a lot earlier. I think the theme and simpler mechanics in the junior versions is a really good introduction for preschoolers.
That's my point.
Probably because I am a newbie when it comes to board games initially, so I don't mind playing them. Nick, I 100% agree. Those publishers did a great job of distilling those games down for younger players. Bigger pieces add for a nice tactile experience too. I never once minded playing them. My kids enjoyed many Peaceable Kingdom co-ops games too. We didn't even talk about Peaceable Kingdom.
That's true.
Highly suggest checking them out.
Mallory agrees that Peaceable Kingdom is great for kids, but they can get a little boring as an adult. Back on the Discord, Joyful Jedi said one more thing. I still have kids games in my collection. I just picked up Dixit Kids because it's cooperative. And, like you're saying, it can be played easily with adults.
Mallory also said, we bought My First Stone Age, the card game, as a stocking stuffer, and it gets a lot of play as a standalone game. Adults understand the strategy, but kids do better at the memory. Also true.
I love that kind of combination in a multi-generational game.
My kids didn't love Kids Chronicles, and I can't quite put my finger on why. I wonder if the features of the game actually make it less engaging for my kids.
Very possible. Kids Chronicles was in a weird spot for our family. Only our youngest really got into it, and he was just barely able to do the reading part.
But he loved showing it to Grandma.
But I think if he had been even 18 months, 2 years older when we got it, he probably would not have been as interested. So Kids Chronicles is definitely one of those aiming at a very narrow age range. Adrian on the Discord says, I've not tried any of the My First games since I don't have kids, but I'm seriously thinking about getting Splendor Kids to play with my new to the hobby gaming friends. I once tried Splendor with a non-gamer, and like was mentioned in the podcast, the abstractness of the goal was hard for her to figure out,
yes.
And therefore she was never sure what tokens to take. For her, the decision space was too large.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that last time.
Yes.
You were almost disagreeing with me on that point.
No, that is definitely part of the problem that Splendor Kid solves. It is not the only thing, but it is one of them.
Well, I should tell you that we have a copy of Azul Kids that showed up the next morning?
The day after we
recorded, we got a copy of Azul Kids. So, hey, guess what's going to be out there soon?
Hey.
This is actually, Azul Kids is another one of those, okay, did they need to make this? And I'm really looking forward to digging into it and figuring out, why?
What problem in Azul for kids does
Right.
this solve?
Right.
Yeah.
Cherry on Facebook says, when the kids were little, we usually just adjusted the typical game slightly. That is the board game for all ages approach. No robber in Catan, a 30 to 60 minute timer on Monopoly or Risk, removing cards they wouldn't understand from Apples to Apples, or always allowing double tracks in Ticket to Ride. That kind of thing. I love that. That's a great modifier.
We got one last one in the Discord. Peter Schott points out that quote-unquote next step games are going to depend on what a kid knows. I've found Lords of Waterdeep, Dominion, and Ticket to Ride are decent next step games. Lords is just easy to explain overall, especially if you don't concentrate on the flavor text too much. Dominion, he says, use the ABCD method to teach and stick to basics. I'm not sure what that is, but I bet I could figure it out. And Ticket to Ride is Rummy, but with trains.
Okay, that's a funny way to think of it.
You know what? That's a pretty good way to explain
Sure.
it to somebody who's played card games before.
Yeah, I mean, if they understand what set collection is, right? But if you use the name of the game to kind of describe the concept of sets, I think that's great.
Yeah. And I agree with Peter Schott when he says engine building is really tricky to explain if you've never seen it before.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's the concept of recursion, right? And it's a weird concept if you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Kendra McDonald is back and says on Facebook, we played my first Catan when we were new gamers and my daughter was 7 and we loved it. But the caveat, none of us had ever played Catan. When she heard you guys bash Catan, she got a little bit salty but agreed that it was time to pass it on. Now, I want to say my first Catan and Catan Jr., not the same game.
As we've now admitted.
I didn't bash my first Catan, I bashed Catan Jr. And I was absolutely way less apologetic about the idea of bashing Catan Jr. than Anitra was, so I'm prepared to take the hit on that, and that is fine. However, she wants to play it one more time before we let it go.
Aww.
That's fair. I'm okay with that, especially
Yeah.
if it's not Catan Jr.
It's also a good way to kind of confirm to yourself, and true for kids as well, confirm to themselves that, like, this was great, I have good memories about it, but I don't need it anymore.
Right. You can always give it to a friend with younger kids, too, so you can go visit your game. if
Go
you would like.
visit.
Yeah, that's always an option.
Thank you all for your input with the back talk this week. Honestly, it means more in some ways when you tell us, like, no, I disagree, and this is why.
I love it. Like, I'm all in on it. I love the back and forth, and I mean, everybody was courteous and polite and just disagreed, and that's great.
Yeah.
And I will take more of that all the time, any day.
So thank you all for participating. We
You
love
are an
you.
awesome community. We appreciate it.
Yes.
You know what else we appreciate? Breaks.
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right, we'll be right back.
And we're back. So, Andrew, we decided that this week we're going to talk about disposable games. Why would you ever want a disposable game?
I actually think that question in and of itself is a pretty interesting one.
I do too.
And that's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But just to kind of talk about what a disposable game is, or what we are referring to when we talk about disposable games. So exit boxes or escape style games with destructible components would be disposable games.
But so would pen and paper games like Celebrity or Tic-Tac-Toe or
We
stuff
have
like
a
that.
book of games from Pipnetic, which are designed to be ripped out of this book and then almost like coloring pages or something like that, but each page is a game.
There are, I think, 6 or 8 different games in the book, and each game has a series of pages where there's usually one page of instructions and then a couple of pages that you can cut out and do various things with for the purposes of the game.
Yep. Of course, there's also print and play games. So this would be a game that maybe is coming out on Kickstarter or whatever, or it's just a game that you could get a cheaper version of, and it's just the PDFs, and you print them out and then you play them that way. We have the basically RPG that we printed off from Drive-Thru RPG.
Hero Kids.
Yeah. That's something that's a print and play, but we made it a little bit more permanent by laminating all the cards and papers and stuff.
Yeah, so that's a type where it doesn't necessarily have to be disposable, but by default it is.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're not buying a bound book, you're just printing some stuff off on your printer. And then, of course, the one we often talk about, legacy games.
Not all legacy games. Some are easy to reset in some ways.
You have to buy like a reset pack or whatever it might be.
But especially the classic legacy games are designed to be played a certain set number of times, and then you're done and you can't play the game anymore.
Or there's like a final state that you can sort of play it, but you don't get any of the
But most people are not going to
and-
do that.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, the big question about this, like, what are the pros and cons of disposable games, right? I mean, I think that is really what I kind of wanted to talk about, and I'm super interested in what the community thinks about this. I thought we would talk about it a little bit because I know we have some writers, I won't name them out loud, but they contribute often in the Family Gamers community, who really hate the idea of disposable games, and they will do whatever it takes to not dispose of a game.
Yes.
And then there's people like me who doesn't care.
And then there's a lot of people in the middle where it's sort of I have to think longer about spending my money on something that's designed to really only be used once or a couple of times and then be done.
I mean, I do think that most of the time, the smaller games like that are priced appropriately. Like an exit box is like $10 to $15.
Yes, I agree. I also think of like Paper App Dungeon, which was also under $10.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the way it was created to be a disposable game, it was also an extremely small form factor, extremely portable, and you weren't going to feel bad getting to the end and then being like, okay, I have done the thing. I have completed the thing. Maybe I will rip out this trophy page from the end, and then I can throw the rest away. It's okay.
Right. Look, these games are incredibly popular. Cozy Stickerville is a game that is basically a disposable game, and it was nominated for the Spiel this year.
Yeah.
So this is a form factor of game that isn't going away, and it is something that I would make the argument that if it was nominated for Spiel, we may see more of it.
Yeah. So why would someone want a disposable game? As you mentioned, for what you're doing, they're generally not super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Why developers like making these disposable games is you can try more interesting things with the game.
Sure.
Now, maybe that's a legacy game where you're changing up the board and how things work after every time you play. But maybe it's something like Cozy Stickerville, where you're literally putting stickers on, and that's how you play the game. Or maybe it's something like Clip Cut Parks, where you are cutting up the board as you play.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Pipnetic games in the book has you rip and fold paper to do an almost Pictionary-like thing, except now you're working in 3 dimensions to try to make little kind of paper sculptures to give clues to people. All of these are not things we normally associate with the idea of board games, right?
I totally agree. Another thing about these disposable games, or this idea of disposable games, is I'm a lot more willing to take something that is disposable with me when I go places, because it is generally less valuable if it's not expected to last forever. So this might be, I'm going on a work trip and I'll take Paper App Dungeon or something like that, where I use some of it and then I just rip it off and throw it away. Like, it's not something that I have to preserve in such a breathless way because it's the only copy of it that I have.
This is less of the legacy game type of disposable game and more the other stuff, the print and plays, the one-time use type stuff.
But it all goes together, though. Like, that's what I'm saying, is the things that you can do once you have accepted that you are willing to permanently alter something. You're willing to do those things because the stuff that you're permanently altering is of I'm going to say, like, a lesser value than something that is more permanent, like plastic minis or something, where it's like, well,
sure.
I mean, I've never seen a legacy game or a whatever game where you're taking like snippers and cutting arms off of plastic minis or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's almost one of those things that makes something like Get Bit so unique, is that you're literally ripping the arms and the legs off of these figures that are designed to go back together. But what I'm saying is, like, a game that is designed to have components that are supposed to be destroyed is going to find ways to produce those components in a cheaper way. And that aspect aligns with I'm willing to take something traveling because it's a print and play, or because it's something that's designed to be used and then disposed of, or whatever. Like, I almost think back to like the old penny press magazines.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, they're designed to, I mean, my mom would always, figure out a way to reuse those, and we'll talk about that kind of thing later. But like the whole point of it was you open it up, you write a bunch of stuff in, you fill in the O's and the X's, and then you discard it and you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was for.
My mom was like that for years with crossword puzzles. She moved on from like newspaper crossword puzzles to eventually she had a page-a-day calendar with a crossword on it. And the idea there is you sit down, you do the puzzle, you look at it, you go, great, I did it. And then you throw it out because you're done now.
Mm-hmm. I actually love it on a page a day. I love that idea because those things are getting tossed anyway.
Right.
They have no value after that day. So that's a really great place to put those.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the obvious con to disposable games.
Mm-hmm.
You are, in fact, spending a bunch of money and possibly a bunch of time on something that you're going to throw away.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hard thing for many people.
I think one of the things that's so difficult about this conversation is the way that you approach it, because this is one of those things that I really think it's about your headspace. You and I tomorrow are going to spend $33 to go watch a movie in a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between that and a game that you play and throw away?
Right. Well, I think that's if you can adjust your mindset to think of a disposable game specifically as you are paying for this experience.
Yeah, totally.
Put it in the same category as like a movie or a dinner or going to a museum, paying for a museum pass for the day, whatever.
I like the movie example because there really is no intrinsic value to going to a movie. In the same way that there isn't really an intrinsic value to playing a board game.
Sure.
Like, it's a thing we enjoy doing, and that's it. There is an intrinsic value to eating food. You don't die.
Yeah,
right? There is an intrinsic value to going to a museum. You learn things about the world.
Maybe.
So I'm trying to be careful about the things that I compare it to, but I just don't think it's any different.
Well, I'm going to say, based on our recent experience, you can also learn things playing a board game, even a disposable board game.
I mean, sure, but okay.
Yes. I think reframing it as an experience helps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, as a American, most of us in this country have more stuff than we need. Everybody talks about decluttering. There was that hot minute where Marie Kondo was the thing. And like one of the pros to a disposable game is you are not cluttering up your house with something you're never going to use again. Instead, you are paying to play this game, have this experience, and it has a definite end. Once you have reached the end, there is no more value to wring out of this game, this box, this piece of paper, and you can move on from it guilt-free.
Right. I mean, for us, right, one of those things was My City. It was a game that we just couldn't get the boys to keep coming back to and playing. And eventually we said, you know what? You and I are just going to finish this game and then we're going to be done. And that's going to be the end of it. And then it actually, because it sat on the shelf for so long, because we were trying to get the boys to play, it was super cathartic to move on from that game because we're like, we are finally done.
100%. We try to call it the shelf of opportunity here, but sometimes it really does feel like the shelf of shame.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason why a disposable game should ever be on the shelf of shame.
Yeah.
Play it and be done.
We have some, though. Like,
Shh. Don't need to confess that right now.
That's funny.
But they're also easier to move off the shelf of shame.
Sure.
Because most of these, other than something like My City or a legacy game, most of these it's like, hey, we're just going to play it once, and it's going to be an hour, and then we're done. And then we're done. We're done. We have moved on.
And, I mean, look,
it's
it's not really the same thing, but you can say very similar things about games that are an experience that really can't be reproduced or done a second time. So, like, the Holiday Hijinks would be an example, right? Like, they're not a disposable game.
Yes.
Or the unlock boxes. They're not disposable, but, like, you really can't do that again. So games like that have a lot of that same mentality. But what's really interesting is a lot of people who struggle with disposable games are okay with buying a Holiday Hijinks game, playing it, and then moving on and giving it away or whatever because of some concept around that intrinsic value. Even though the reality is they really kind of cost the same most of the time. Like, they're pretty close in price.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting aspect to all of this as well, is where people put the value. Like, do they put it intrinsically in the items themselves or not, right? And I think that's why people struggle so much with just reclassifying the purchase of a game as buying an experience as opposed to buying a physical product.
The stuff.
Yeah, the stuff.
Yeah.
So that whole thing, I mean, it's a really interesting kind of conversation to talk about what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what bothers people and what doesn't bother people in terms of what happens when you're, air quote, done with the game.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why I framed our backtalk question the way I did. And here's the question. How far is too far? We have some friends that have gone to some pretty significant lengths to preserve games that are intended to be single-use disposable games. So the question is, how far have you gone, and have you ever seen anything that is just too extreme for you?
Yeah.
I don't want you to name and shame, but I would love to hear what people are doing.
Yes, we want anecdotes, not naming and shaming.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say that personally, the farthest that we've gone has been tracing over something instead of writing on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fairly common thing for us with escape room type games that would otherwise be reusable.
Yes, I think that's true.
Because we feel like that's not a big step to take to make it so that we can pass this game on.
Yep.
It has bit us once or twice.
Well, yeah, there have been some games in certain escape room series that I would say the tolerances are not what were not good enough to support being copied.
Yes.
That's a very politic way of me
I think that's a
saying
good way to put it.
And so, yeah, we really ended up struggling with something probably more than we otherwise would have.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We have definitely seen other people go to much greater lengths than that.
Yep. And I will talk about those next time if somebody else hasn't seen something similar.
So tell us, what have you done? What have you seen or heard about? And what would you absolutely refuse to do and say, no, that is too much. At this point, we just have to be okay with destroying this game or this component. Yeah.
But like, also, like, there are games like Charterstone where there's a pack you can buy that's like a refresh pack. Mm-hmm. So like, there are games where a section of that game is designed to be permanent and a section of it is designed to be disposed of and then replaced. So whatever. There's a lot of stuff like that.
What would you be willing to do? What would you not be willing to do?
Yep.
All right.
Of course, there are lots of different ways that you can get a hold of us and tell us these things, but the two primary ones are the ones we read out on every single show. I typically read from our Facebook community, which you can get to by going to thefamilygamers.com/community.
And we usually also post these, when I remember, on the Back Talk channel in the Family Tabletop community on Discord.
Of course, there are tons of different ways, like I said, that you can get a hold of us. You can find us on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Blue Sky, on Threads, and on YouTube at Family Gamers AA.
In addition to that, the links for the Facebook community and the Family Tabletop community on Discord are all in the show notes of every single episode, or go to thefamilygamers.com. You will find them, I promise.
Of course, if you can't find them, or if you have anything else that you want to ask us about or tell us about or whatever, you can always email us, Andrew@thefamilygamers.com.
Anitra@thefamilygamers.com.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show, tell your friends about the show, and please leave us a written review at Apple Podcast or whatever your podcast subscription source is. You can also find us on Amazon Music, on TuneIn, on Spotify, and on YouTube Music.
If you like the Family Gamers and you want to support the Family Gamers, there are 3 pretty easy ways to do that. First of all, you can pick up sweet merch. Mm-hmm. Go to store.thefamilygamers.com or go to thefamilygamers.com and look for the picture of a t-shirt. We also have hoodies and mugs and stickers and things like that. You could also support us on Patreon if that's more your speed. We have several different tiers from free all the way up to $20 a month. If you support at anything more than free, we promise you will get rewards.
Head over to thefamilygamers.com/Patreon to see what those are.
And the third, probably easiest way to support us is you can start your Amazon shopping at the Family Gamers website and use our Amazon affiliate link, and then we will get at least a couple of cents from everything that you buy without costing you anything.
Yep, there's a blue button that just says shop on Amazon. You just go to thefamilygamers.com, click on that button, and then pick whatever it is that you would like to buy, just like normal. Music for the Family Gamers podcast is provided with permission from You Bred Raptors.
And the Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. Go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and learn how the team at First Move Financial can help you pile up the victory points.
Thanks again to First Move for sponsoring another episode of the show. Well, Anisha, I let it slip that we do, in fact, have a couple of disposable or single-use games on our shelf of opportunity.
You want to go play one or two?
I think that's probably what we should do.
All right. Well, we'll tell you all about it next time. But until then,
Play
games with your kids.